The pursuit of happiness is perhaps the most universal and yet most elusive of human endeavors. We chase it in external achievements, in the validation of others, in the accumulation of possessions, and in the hope for a trouble-free life. Yet so often, this chase leaves us weary, anxious, and feeling further from our goal. Stoicism, an ancient philosophy born in the agoras of Athens and refined in the heart of the Roman Empire, offers a radical and transformative alternative. It proposes that happiness, or more accurately, a state of flourishing known as eudaimonia, is not found in the ever-changing external world, but is built upon an unshakable foundation of inner sovereignty. This first chapter establishes that foundation, exploring the core Stoic principles that empower us to distinguish between what is truly within our power and what is not, to embrace our reality with clear-eyed acceptance, and to understand that our judgments, not events themselves, are the primary source of our suffering. These are not mere intellectual exercises. They are the essential practices for constructing a resilient and contented self, capable of weathering any storm life may bring. The cornerstone of Stoic practice, famously articulated by the philosopher-slave Epictetus, is the dichotomy of control. He begins his Enchiridion with the profound and simple statement, "Some things are within our power, while others are not." This distinction is the first and most critical step on the Stoic path. Within our power are our own faculties, our judgments, our desires, our aversions, and ultimately, our will. These are our prohairesis, our reasoned choice, the innermost citadel of the self. Everything else, our body, our possessions, our reputation, our past, the actions of others, the weather, the political climate, is not fully within our power. It belongs to the realm of externals. The immediate and instinctual reaction of the untrained mind is to invest its happiness in these externals. We believe we will be happy if we get that promotion, if that person loves us, if we maintain perfect health, if everyone speaks well of us. Stoicism reveals this to be the fundamental error. By tying our well-being to things we do not ultimately control, we voluntarily hand over the reins of our inner state to the chaotic, unpredictable, and indifferent whims of fortune. We make ourselves hostages to circumstance. Therefore, the practice of applying the dichotomy of control is a daily moment-to-moment exercise in mental discipline. It begins with a pause. When faced with a challenging event, a critical comment, a traffic jam, a financial setback, the Stoic practitioner learns to first ask, "Is this within my power?" The content of the comment, the existence of the traffic, the fact of the setback, these are not fully within your power. They have already occurred. To rage against them is to rage against reality itself, a futile and exhausting endeavor that the Stoics compared to a dog straining against its leash. What then is within your power? Your judgment about the event, your response. You have the power to choose whether to interpret the comment as an insult or as feedback, whether to see the traffic as a personal injustice or as an opportunity to listen to an audiobook or practice patience, whether to view this setback as a catastrophe or as a challenge to be met with resourcefulness. This shift in focus is revolutionary. It transfers the locus of control from the outside world to your own mind. Happiness ceases to be something you must extract from the world and becomes something you cultivate from within. By exercising your power of choice wisely and virtuously, you become the author of your own inner narrative, rather than a character buffeted by an author you cannot control. Closely linked to the dichotomy of control is the profound Stoic practice of amor fati, the love of fate. This concept, championed by the later Stoics and famously embraced by Nietzsche, goes beyond mere acceptance. It is the active, enthusiastic embrace of everything that life brings, the good and the bad, as necessary and even beneficial threads in the tapestry of our existence. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, writing his private meditations amidst the burdens of rule and the horrors of plague and war, constantly reminded himself, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it, and the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way, Amor fati is the application of this mindset. It is the decision to not just tolerate your fate, but to love it because it is yours. And because within every obstacle lies the raw material for growth. Think of a skilled carpenter. She does not lament a knot in the wood. She incorporates it into the design, making it a feature. The Stoic aims to become a skilled artisan of their own life. To practice amor fati is to dismantle the destructive mental habits of complaint, resentment, and wishful thinking. How often do we think, if only this hadn't happened, or why me? These thoughts are a rejection of the present reality, a rebellion against the cosmos as it is. They create inner friction and turmoil. Loving your fate means looking at any circumstance, a job loss, an illness, a betrayal, and asking, given that this has happened, what can I do with it? How can this forge my character? What strength can it reveal? It transforms you from a passive victim of circumstance into an active participant in your own development. The rainy day that ruins your picnic becomes an opportunity for a cozy afternoon of reading. The difficult colleague becomes a teacher of patience and diplomacy. The personal loss becomes a lesson in the preciousness of connection and the depth of your own resilience. This is not passive resignation. It is dynamic, creative engagement with reality as it is. By loving your fate, you align your will with the unfolding of the universe. And in that alignment, you find a profound sense of peace and purpose. For you are no longer fighting the current of existence, but learning to navigate it with skill. The third pillar of this foundational chapter is the understanding that we are disturbed not by events, but by our judgments about them. This principle, articulated by Epictetus, strikes at the very root of human suffering. Between any external event and our emotional reaction lies a critical, often unconscious, intermediary, our perception and judgment of that event. The event itself is neutral. It is the story we tell ourselves about the event that generates our fear, anger, sadness, or anxiety. Imagine two people caught in the same downpour without an umbrella. One thinks, "This is a disaster. I'm ruined, the universe is against me," and feels miserable. The other thinks, "Well, I needed a shower anyway." This will make for a funny story and laughs it off. The external event, the rain, is identical. The emotional outcomes are diametrically opposed because of the differing judgments applied. The Stoic's task is to become a vigilant gatekeeper of these judgments. This requires the practice of prosocial attention. We must learn to catch our automatic thoughts and subject them to rational scrutiny. When a feeling of distress arises, the Stoic pauses and traces it back to its source. The underlying belief. I am upset because my friend was rude. Is that true? Or are you upset because you hold the belief that my friend must always be polite to me, and their being rude is an intolerable affront? The Stoic would then examine that belief. Is it rational? Is it within your control to enforce how others speak? Is the event truly catastrophic, or simply inconvenient and unpleasant? By dissecting the judgment, you often find it is exaggerated, irrational, or based on faulty demands of the universe. This process of cognitive distancing is a form of psychological liberation. You begin to see that the chains binding your emotions are often of your own forging. By changing your judgment, by viewing the friend's rudeness as a reflection of their own bad day rather than a personal attack, or by simply accepting that people will sometimes be rude as part of the human condition, you change your emotional world. You realize that you hold the key to your own peace of mind, and that no external event can take it from you without your internal consent. This is the essence of emotional resilience and the bedrock of lasting happiness, for it ensures that your inner tranquility is never at the mercy of the outside world. In laying this foundation of inner sovereignty through the dichotomy of control, the love of fate, and the mastery of judgment, Stoicism provides the tools to build a self that is impervious to fortune's slings and arrows. It is a self that finds its strength, its worth, and its contentment not in the capricious realm of externals, but in the steadfast and virtuous use of its own will. This is not a philosophy of withdrawal or emotional suppression. It is a philosophy of profound engagement with reality on your own terms. It is about doing your best with what is within your power, acting with justice, courage, temperance, and wisdom, while serenely accepting all that is not. As we move forward, we will build upon this foundation, exploring how these principles translate into practical rules for living, how they shape our relationships, our work, and our daily conduct. But remember, all that follows rests upon this fundamental understanding. Happiness is an inside job. Your mind is your kingdom. Guard its gates wisely, rule it with virtue, and you will have built a fortress of contentment that no external force can ever breach. Having laid the foundation of inner sovereignty by understanding what is within our control and mastering our judgments, we now turn to the active cultivation of the self. Stoicism is not a philosophy of passive observation. It is a philosophy of rigorous practice, of daily training designed to forge a resilient, virtuous, and tranquil character. This chapter delves into the personal disciplines that transform Stoic theory from an interesting intellectual concept into a lived reality that generates genuine happiness. We will explore the transformative power of voluntary discomfort, the essential practice of negative visualization, the profound mental shift fostered by viewing the world from a cosmic perspective, and the imperative to live firmly in the present moment. These practices are the gymnasium for the soul, strengthening our ability to face life's inevitable challenges with equanimity and to appreciate its gifts, without becoming enslaved to them. They teach us to find sufficiency within, to prepare for adversity with calm foresight, to see our place in the grand scheme, and to invest our energy not in regrets or anxieties, but in the only time that is truly ours, now. A cornerstone of Stoic training, famously advocated by Seneca, is the regular practice of voluntary discomfort. The idea is simple yet counterintuitive. Periodically and intentionally choose to experience mild forms of hardship. This could mean fasting for a day when food is plentiful, taking a cold shower, sleeping on a harder surface, walking instead of driving, or wearing simpler clothes. The purpose is not self-punishment or asceticism for its own sake. It is a form of psychological and immunological training. By voluntarily stepping into discomfort, we accomplish several vital things. First, we prove to ourselves that we can endure it. We break the chains of fear that bind us to soft living. The dread of losing our comforts often causes more anxiety than the actual loss would. By voluntarily experiencing a scaled-down version of that loss, we inoculate ourselves against the fear. We learn, as Seneca puts it, that the man who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive. Second, voluntary discomfort fosters immense gratitude and resilience. When you consciously choose to go without a meal, the next meal you eat tastes profoundly different. You are no longer eating out of habit or mindless consumption, but with a keen awareness of the gift of nourishment. You reconnect with the basic sufficiency of life. This practice shatters the illusion that happiness is contingent on an ever-expanding list of comforts and luxuries. It reveals that your baseline for contentment is far lower and more robust than you imagined. You build a poverty-proof self, a person who can find ease and peace even when external conditions are less than ideal. Furthermore, by facing small self-imposed challenges, you build the mental muscle for facing the large, involuntary ones. Just as a soldier trains in peacetime for the chaos of war, the Stoic trains in comfort for the trials of fate. This practice cultivates a deep-seated confidence that comes from knowing, not just hoping, that you have the inner resources to handle difficulty. Complementing the hardening of voluntary discomfort is the reflective practice of premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, or negative visualization. While modern self-help often focuses on positive visualization, the Stoics believed in the profound power of contemplating what could go wrong. Again, this is not an exercise in pessimism or anxiety generation, but in strategic preparation and appreciation. The practice involves regularly and calmly imagining the potential losses or challenges you might face: the loss of your job, the illness of a loved one, a public failure, even your own death. The key is to do this not with frantic worry, but with detached, rational foresight. As you visualize these scenarios, you ask yourself, if this happened, how could I respond? What resources within me could I call upon? What would a wise and courageous person do? This practice serves multiple crucial functions. Primarily, it is a powerful antidote to the fragility that comes from taking things for granted. By consciously imagining the absence of your health, your relationships, or your possessions, you instantly resensitize yourself to their value. As Seneca advised, we should love our loved ones with the thought in mind that we may lose them, not to love them less, but to love them more fully and attentively in the present. This transforms ordinary life into a continuous source of wonder and gratitude. Secondly, premeditatio malorum robs future misfortunes of their element of surprise and shock. When a difficulty you have calmly contemplated actually arises, it feels familiar. You have already walked through it in your mind. You have a mental plan, or at least the knowledge that you have considered it and resolved to face it with virtue. This dramatically reduces the paralyzing panic that accompanies unexpected catastrophe. You meet the event not with the cry, "Oh no, this is terrible," but with the calm acknowledgement, "This is the thing I have prepared for." Now is the time for courage and wisdom. It is the difference between a soldier ambushed and a soldier who has rehearsed the battle plan. To further stabilize the mind against life's upheavals, Stoicism offers the profound exercise of viewing life from above the cosmic perspective. Marcus Aurelius was a master of this practice, constantly reminding himself in his meditations to zoom out. He would contemplate the vastness of time and space, imagining the whole of human history as a brief, fleeting moment, and the entire earth as a mere point in the infinite cosmos. He would think of all the empires, triumphs, and tragedies that have come to dust, all the people who have lived, loved, and died, now forgotten. This might seem like a recipe for nihilism, but for the Stoic, it is a recipe for profound peace and clarity. When you are consumed by a petty slight, a professional setback, or a social embarrassment, the cosmic perspective acts as a cooling balm. You are invited to ask, in the grand scheme of the universe, how important is this? Will this matter in a year? In a century? On my deathbed? This practice accomplishes two critical shifts. First, it diminishes the ego. So much of our anxiety, anger, and unhappiness stems from an inflated sense of self-importance. We feel that our problems are monumental. Our reputations are of cosmic significance. The view from above reveals the beautiful, humbling truth of our smallness. It is liberating. The pressure to be seen a certain way, to achieve certain worldly markers of success, begins to evaporate under the vast, silent gaze of the cosmos. Second, it fosters a sense of connectedness and dissolves the sense of personal victimization. Seeing yourself as a tiny part of a vast, ancient, and ongoing whole makes personal misfortunes feel less like unique punishments and more like the natural ebb and flow of a universal process. You are a leaf on a great tree, a wave in a great ocean. Your suffering is part of the human condition, shared by countless others across time. This realization breeds compassion for yourself and for others, and a serene acceptance of your role in the natural order. It allows you to focus not on the immensity of your problems, but on the quality of your character within the brief, precious span of life you have been given. All these practices converge on the most immediate and practical Stoic rule: focus on the present moment. The past is gone and immutable. The future is uncertain and largely not in our power. The only domain where our reason, our choices, and our actions have any true agency is the present. Anxiety is the suffering we create by projecting ourselves into an imagined, fearful future. Regret is the suffering we create by clinging to an immutable past. Both are forms of mental time travel that rob us of our only true possession, the current moment. Epictetus reminds us that we should not fear death, but fear never beginning to live properly. And to live properly is to be fully engaged in the task, conversation, or experience at hand. This focus is not passive. it is intensely active. It is the discipline of bringing your full attention to your current duty, whatever it may be. For Marcus Aurelius, it meant performing the duties of an emperor with focus and justice right now. This internally fortified self is now ready to engage with the external world, with other people, with society, and with life's practical challenges from a position of strength, not reactivity. It is to this external application that we will turn next, exploring how the Stoic navigates relationships, ambition, and the inevitable setbacks of an active life. A fortified inner citadel and a disciplined self are not ends in themselves in Stoic philosophy. They are the necessary preparations for the most important task, living well in the world with others. Stoicism is not a retreat into solitude. It is a framework for engaged, virtuous, and effective action. Having cultivated inner sovereignty and personal resilience, we now turn outward to explore how the Stoic navigates the complexities of ambition, work, adversity, and human relationships. This chapter addresses the practical application of Stoic principles in the arena of life, focusing on how to pursue goals without being enslaved by them, how to transform obstacles into fuel for growth, how to interact with others from a place of understanding rather than judgment, and how to manage the inevitable pain of loss. Here, the theoretical becomes tactical. We move from building character to deploying it, demonstrating that true happiness is found not in isolation, but in the virtuous interplay between a wise self and a challenging world. A central tension in any philosophy of life is between ambition and contentment. We are driven to achieve, to build, to create, yet the attachment to specific outcomes can be a source of immense suffering. Stoicism resolves this not by advocating passivity, but by redefining success. The Stoic rule is to focus on the process, not the outcome. Your duty is to act with excellence, with virtue, with full commitment to the task at hand. The result, whether you win the game, get the promotion, close the deal, or receive the praise, is an external, a preferred indifferent. It is preferable to achieve your aim, but it is not essential to your happiness or worth. What is essential is the quality of your effort. As the archer metaphor illustrates, a skilled archer does everything within her power to hit the target. She chooses the right arrow, carefully draws the bow, takes aim, and releases with a steady hand. But once the arrow is in flight, a gust of wind can deflect it. The archer's success was in her excellent process. The actual hit is subject to fortune. If she ties her self-esteem and happiness solely to the hit, she makes herself a slave to the wind. Applying this to daily life is liberating. In your work, your focus shifts from the anxiety of "will I get the raise?" to the integrity of "am I doing my job with diligence, creativity, and collaboration?" In relationships, it shifts from "do they like me?" to "am I being kind, honest, and present?" This orientation achieves two things. First, it places your well-being firmly within your control. You can always control your effort and your integrity. You cannot always control the outcome. Therefore, you can always be successful in the Stoic sense, regardless of the external result. A project that fails despite your best virtuous efforts is not a mark against you. It is simply an event in the world. Second, paradoxically, this focus on process often leads to better outcomes. When you are not paralyzed by the fear of failure or blinded by the lust for a specific result, you perform with clearer focus, greater adaptability, and more resilience. You are free to be creative, to take calculated risks, and to learn from feedback without ego. The Stoic finds deep satisfaction in the craftsmanship of their own actions. The final product or reward is a potential bonus, but the real reward, the sense of having lived in accordance with your nature as a rational, acting being, is experienced in the doing. When outcomes do not go as planned, when we face obstacles and setbacks, the Stoic activates the most empowering of mental frameworks. The obstacle is the way. This phrase, popularized by modern authors, captures the essence of a principle practiced by the great Stoics. An obstacle, a failure, a criticism, a limitation, a defeat is not a barrier to the path, it is the path. It is the raw material for the practice of virtue. Courage cannot exist without danger. Patience cannot exist without delay. Resilience cannot exist without setback. The obstacle presents the very conditions necessary to develop and display the strength you are cultivating. Marcus Aurelius saw his difficult commanders, his treacherous senators, his painful illnesses not as curses, but as the training partners for his virtues. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. To practice this is to perform a conscious alchemy on every difficulty. When faced with an obstacle, the immediate, untrained reaction is frustration, anger, or despair. The Stoic trained reaction is to pause and ask, what does this obstacle make possible? What quality can it force me to develop? How can I use this right now to practice wisdom, courage, justice, or temperance? A financial loss becomes a teacher in frugality and resourcefulness. A public humiliation becomes a lesson in humility and the true source of self-worth. A physical injury becomes a masterclass in patience and appreciation for the body. This mindset transforms you from a passive recipient of fortune's blows into an active agent of your own development. You stop seeing the world as something that happens to you and start seeing it as a gymnasium for you. Every challenge is an exercise, every adversary a coach, however unwilling. This does not mean you seek out suffering, but that you meet it with a creative, constructive, and defiant spirit. The obstacle is not to be merely endured. It is to be engaged, broken down, and used as stepping stones. In this engagement, you discover a power and capability you never knew you had. And this discovery is a profound source of confidence and happiness. Much of our suffering in the world stems from our interactions with other people. We are hurt by their actions, frustrated by their opinions, and disappointed by their failures. Stoicism provides a powerful toolkit for navigating relationships through the principles of understanding over judgment and managing expectations. First, we must remember the dichotomy of control. Other people's thoughts, actions, and words are externals, not within our command. To expect others to always act in accordance with our preferences is to invite constant frustration. As Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself, when someone acts wrongly, it is because they are operating under a false impression of what is good. They are mistaken, just as you are mistaken when you are misinformed. This shifts our response from personal anger to a more detached, almost diagnostic pity. They can't help it. They think this is the right thing to do. This is not to excuse harmful behavior, but to understand its source, which allows for a more effective and less emotionally draining response. This leads to the practice of managing expectations through the principle of preparing for human fallibility. Before you interact with someone, whether a partner, a colleague, or a stranger, it is wise to premeditate, in a sense. Remind yourself that this person is human, and therefore subject to error, selfishness, mood swings, and ignorance. They may be rude, they may forget, they may disappoint. When they inevitably do, because all humans do, ourselves included, it does not come as a shocking betrayal, but as a confirmation of the human condition. This preparation is not cynicism. It is a form of realism that protects your peace. It allows you to approach relationships with a kind of compassionate preparedness. Your happiness is not contingent on others behaving perfectly. Furthermore, this understanding fosters tolerance and reduces conflict. Instead of reacting with immediate indignation, "How dare you?" you can respond with calm inquiry or firm boundary setting. You see their action as a symptom of their inner state or ignorance, not as a personal assault on your worth. This creates space for dialogue, forgiveness, and clearer judgment about how to proceed, whether that means educating, distancing, or simply accepting the person as they are. The final and perhaps most profound test of Stoic practice in the world is dealing with loss, particularly the loss of loved ones through death or separation. The Stoic approach is encapsulated in the practice of memento mori, remembering you must die, and its corollary, remembering that all things and people are temporary. This is not a morbid fixation, but a vital tool for shaping how we live and love. To remember that you and everyone you cherish are mortal is to be shocked into presence and appreciation. It is the ultimate argument against taking anything for granted. Why waste a moment in bitterness when you could be loving? Why withhold affection when time is so limited? The awareness of impermanence imbues the present with incredible poignancy and value. When loss does occur, the Stoic is not expected to feel nothing. Stoicism is not the elimination of emotion, but the prevention of irrational, destructive passion. Grief is natural. The pain of missing someone is a testament to the love you felt. The Stoic aim is to experience these feelings without being overthrown by them, without letting them metastasize into a prolonged, self-destructive despair that the departed would not have wished for you. You accept the loss as part of the natural order. Everything that comes together must eventually come apart. You find solace in gratitude for the time you had, not in rage at the time you lost. You honor the person by living well, by carrying forward the good they represented. You lean on the practices of negative visualization. You knew this day could come, and the cosmic perspective. This is the fate of every living thing, a universal experience. This does not make the pain disappear, but it places it within a larger, meaningful context. It prevents the loss from destroying your own life, which would be a second unnecessary tragedy. You feel the wave of sorrow, but you are not drowned by it, because you are anchored to the deep seabed of acceptance and understanding of nature's laws. In this chapter, we have seen the Stoics step out into the marketplace of life. Armed with inner discipline, they engage with action, adversity, and relationship not as a naive optimist or a fearful pessimist, but as a proactive realist. They work hard but are defined by their effort, not their trophies. They meet obstacles not as stop signs, but as signposts pointing toward growth. They understand people, forgive their flaws, and protect their own peace by managing expectations. They love deeply while holding an awareness of life's fragility, meeting loss with dignified grief and enduring gratitude. This is the portrait of a life not of withdrawal, but of wise, courageous, and compassionate engagement. Having established how to be in the world, we conclude our journey by integrating these practices into a cohesive art of living, examining the ultimate Stoic goal of virtue, and reflecting on the lasting legacy of a life well lived. Our journey through Stoic philosophy has taken us from the internal foundations of control and judgment, through the personal disciplines of resilience, and into the practical arena of action and relationship. We now arrive at the summit, the integration of these principles into a cohesive and sustainable art of living. This final chapter explores the ultimate goal of Stoicism, living in accordance with virtue and nature, and examines the daily practices, mental habits, and final reflections that allow this philosophy to become not just a set of rules, but a way of being. Here, we synthesize the parts into a whole, understanding how the Stoic navigates the full spectrum of human experience, from daily irritations to life's ultimate questions. We will delve into the cardinal virtues as a guiding compass, the importance of continuous self-review, the stance towards the divine or universal reason, and the serene contemplation of one's mortality and legacy. This is where theory, practice, and purpose fuse, offering a vision of happiness not as a fleeting emotional state, but as the enduring flourish of a life lived reason, excellence, and alignment with the cosmos. The ultimate aim of Stoicism is virtue, arit, which is synonymous with excellence of character and living in accordance with nature. For the Stoics, virtue is not merely moral righteousness, it is the perfection of human rationality. Since humans are endowed with reason, to live virtuously is to live rationally, which is to live in harmony with the nature of the universe itself, the Logos. This grand concept translates into 4 cardinal virtues, which serve as an ever-present compass for thought and action: wisdom, Sophia; courage, Andrea; justice, Dikaiosine; and temperance, Sophrosine. These are not isolated traits, but interconnected facets of a single, unified excellence. Wisdom is the practical knowledge of what is good, bad, and indifferent. It is the faculty that applies the dichotomy of control, discerns right action, and sees the world clearly without the distortion of passion. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the wisdom to act rightly in the face of fear, discomfort, or danger. It is the virtue that embraces obstacles and stands firm in one's principles. Justice is the social wisdom to treat others with fairness, kindness, and in recognition of our shared rationality. It is the virtue that guides all our relationships. Temperance is the wisdom of self-governance, the mastery of desires and aversions to achieve harmony and avoid excess. Happiness, eudaimonia, is the result of living by this virtuous compass. Everything else, health, wealth, reputation, pleasure, is classified as a preferred indifferent. It has value and can be pursued, but only if its pursuit does not compromise virtue. To sacrifice justice for wealth is to fail. To abandon courage for comfort is to fail. The virtuous life is an integrated life, where every decision, large or small, is filtered through these four qualities. Am I acting with wisdom and justice in this business deal? Am I facing this illness with courage and temperance? This framework provides staggering clarity. In moments of confusion or moral conflict, the Stoic simply asks, what would a wise, courageous, just, and temperate person do? The answer, though sometimes difficult to execute, becomes clear. This pursuit is its own reward, for in acting virtuously, you are fulfilling your highest purpose as a rational being. You are, as the Stoic said, living in agreement with nature, and in that agreement, you find a profound and unshakable contentment. To ensure one stays on this path, Stoicism prescribes the vital practice of evening reflection and self-examination. Just as an athlete reviews game tape, the Stoic reviews the day. This is not a session of guilty self-flagellation, but a calm, objective audit of one's thoughts and actions. Seneca, in his letters, describes his own ritual. When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and go back over what I have done and said, hiding nothing from myself, passing nothing by. He would ask himself questions like, where did I let a passion override my reason? Where did I fail to act justly? Was my courage wanting? Did I confuse a preferred indifferent for a true good? This practice serves multiple functions. First, it reinforces learning. By identifying where you fell short of your ideals, you program your mind to recognize that pattern earlier next time. Second, it allows you to celebrate progress. Noting where you responded with patience instead of anger, or wisdom instead of impulse, reinforces those neural pathways. Third, it provides daily closure, allowing you to put the day's events to rest with understanding, rather than carrying unresolved thoughts and regrets into sleep. This daily dialogue with yourself is the engine of moral progress. It turns philosophy from a subject you study into a life you meticulously and lovingly craft, one day at a time. A distinctive feature of Stoicism that shapes this entire art of living is its theological or cosmological perspective, the view of a providential, rational universe. While not all modern Stoics are theists, the ancient Stoics believed in the Logos, a divine, intelligent principle that permeates and orders all of nature. For them, to live in accordance with nature was to align one's personal reason, Logos, with this universal reason, Logos. This perspective transforms one's experience of events. What appears as random misfortune can be seen as part of a coherent, if inscrutable, whole. This is the ultimate expression of amor fati. Even pain and loss are not meaningless chaos, but threads in a perfect tapestry we cannot fully see. You are not a lonely speck fighting a hostile universe. You are a conscious part of that universe experiencing itself. This viewpoint, whether taken literally or as a useful metaphor, cultivates humility. You are part of something vast. Purpose. Your reason is a fragment of the cosmic order. All of these strands, the pursuit of virtue, the daily review, the cosmic perspective, converge in the final, unifying practice, contemplating your legacy and the brevity of life. The Stoic is encouraged to regularly consider two questions. What do I wish to be remembered for? And if I died today, would I be satisfied with how I have lived? These are not morbid questions. They are the most clarifying questions one can ask. It asks you to define your legacy, not in terms of wealth or fame, externals, subject to fortune and others' opinions, but in terms of character and impact. Remembering death corrects this imbalance. It also fosters a beautiful likeness. This contemplation is the final master key to happiness, because it aligns your daily actions with your deepest values.